Hello. We are now going to look at homework 1.1, linear equations and inequalities. Previewing. So, as you can see, 25 questions. We have unlimited attempts per question, and it is due 2/2/25 at 11:59 p.m. So, the first homework question, what I like to do first, I like to start by just going to get more help, and let's view the textbook. The textbook will open up for us, and we can kind of just see what they want us to understand. I'm going to go through this with a little bit of speed because I think this is pretty self-explanatory, linear equations and inequalities. So first thing we need to do is you need to first put it in standard form where it's equal to, well, I'm sorry, we have standard form. We have all these kind of things. You guys can have the textbook access to you. Feel free to read it at your own speed if you need to read it and so forth. What I look for is I look for the things in blue because these are our theorems, these are our formulas, this is going to be the things that I need. So the equality properties, an equivalent equation will result in the same equality as added, so this is adding to both sides and so forth. So solving linear equality, blah, there you go. It's all there. Next page. So here is where they check and they get it right. Explore and discuss, they check, they get it right. Solving a linear equation, they check, they get it right, so forth and so forth. Moving on, solving a formula for a particular value. Now this is called a literal equation because there are no numbers. So here you can see everything is in terms of A, P plus PRT. A would be your interest rate, the amount in the account, P is your principal, and R is the rate, and T is time. So just manipulating these kind of equations. Inequalities, greater than, less than, so forth. Moving on. Replacing our inequalities, and here's our second theorem, the inequality properties. An equivalent inequality will result, and the sense or direction will remain the same if each side of the original equality has the same real number added to or subtracted to, is multiplied or divided by a positive number. I think we all should be relatively familiar that when you divide or multiply an inequality by a negative, you have to switch the inequality. An equivalent equality will result, and the sense of direction will reverse if each side of the inequality is multiplied or divided by the same negative number. There you go. And you can't multiply it or divide by 0. There's our inequalities and so forth. All right, here's your interval notation. This is the inequality notation, and this is what it looks like on a line graph. All right, interval and inequality notation. Moving on. Solving a linear inequality. It's just by solving it there. Double inequality. I have a certain way that I like to solve this one. They kind of did it this way. So over here, as you can see, they set it up as a double inequality, and then when they minus 3, they minus 3 from both sides. Awesome. Procedures for word problems. Read the problem carefully, identify all the quantities in the problem, write a verbal statement, solve the equation or inequality, and then check the solutions of the original. Here's another example, blah, blah, blah. Break-even analysis, that means it just wants to be equal to 0. Revenue is equal to cost, consumer price index, and so forth. So that's pretty much the textbook. Now, let's get into this. So for this question, I'm hoping that this should be pretty self-explanatory. First thing that I would do is I would get the variables on the same side and then get my numbers on the same side. So here, between 3 and 8, I'm moving to 3 because it's smaller. 8 minus, I need to subtract 3 from this side, subtract 3 from that side, and then that should give me my answer. I would add 2, so then we have 5m is equal to 15, so then m is equal to 3. Moving on, cool. Here, we have multiplication, so we're going to have to distribute. After you distribute, you combine like terms, and then it becomes very similar to question 1, where we just solve it. Hopefully this shouldn't be an issue. I'm going to move on. And again, if you're struggling, you can always view an example. And as you can see, there are 7 parts here, so I'm just going to click 3, 2, 1, and now I see everything that I need to get this problem right. So if you are struggling, you could always look at the view and example. Question 3, write the interval as an inequality or double inequality. So in an inequality, that means that we're going to have our symbols. So here it should be 6 is less than x. 6 is less than x, which is going to be less than or equal to, I'm going to have to use the bottom right here, less than or equal to 8, because these are our inequalities. We check it, we get it right. Write the interval as an inequality. So here, if it goes from -3 to infinity, that just means that x is greater than 3. Greater than 3. I forgot the negative. See, this program is very specific. You forget anything and it will mark you wrong. Write the solution here in interval notation. Any number between -4 and 6 would be a parentheses because it is not equal to -4 all the way up to 6, and that would be a hard bracket. If you do not see these symbols on your keyboard, you could always hit more, and then it pulls up the entire math. So my inequality symbols will be right there. Just trying to help you guys be successful. Number 6. So here I would solve. That means that x is less than 7. Now it wants it in interval notation. So if x is less than 7, that means that it goes from -infinity, and I need, I think if I do 0, 0, no, -infinity to 7. And that would be a parentheses because it is not equal to, and boom, correct. Okay, so now here, in order to solve these, they would all have to have a common denominator. Luckily, the common denominator here would be 12. So this would be 2x plus 4 equals 1. 2x plus 4 equals 1. Again, view an example. Lowest common denominator for 14, 7, and 28 would be 28. Get the common denominator, 2, 4, and 3. And then you just have that simple equation. And then this is a two-step equation. I think that's pretty straightforward. Moving on. Find the solution set. Okay, so for here, we're going to need to get both of them to be a common denominator, which I could actually cross multiply this because an inequality is the same exact thing as a equal sign. So I can say this is x over -4 is equal to 1/5. Cross multiplying, I have 5x is equal to, 5x is greater than -4, so x is greater than -4/5. Interval notation, which would be x is greater than -4/5, so that would be from -4/5 divided by 5, comma, infinity, because it's bigger than, and then you can never be equal to infinity, so, it's x is less than, my mistake, because I multiplied by a negative. When I multiply by a negative, it goes the other way, so x is less than this infinity. -4/5, x is less than -4/5. Oh, this is a negative infinity. See? Program. Guys, trust me, I understand when you realize that it's like I need to do a problem because I missed a typo or something. It happens, but we're here to learn. You are here to learn. You're here to get better at math. So this program will hold you accountable, and you need to get things right. All right, solving this, what I see 1, 2, 3, 3 variables. First combine those two, move that one over. Pretty self-explanatory, not too difficult. Moving on. Here, distribute the 22 to the x minus 2, get one equation. The number may be a little big, but I think that's totally fine. So here we have y with an inequality. This should be the same exact thing. So let's see, 25 minus y is less than or equal to 6y minus 4, 6y minus 24. I'm going to add 24. That would be 25 minus 24 is, no, negative 24 plus, that'd be plus 49. 49 divided by 7 would be 7. So 49 is less than y. 7 is less than y. 7 is less than y. That would be negative infinity all the way to 7 with a parenthesis, hard bracket because it is equal to, is it negative 7? 6, 7, 49, 25, 7. Oh, y is, it's gonna be a little difficult. How do I do this without, I gotta figure out how I can show work on here because I can't do it in my head. I'm trying to see this. We got, this is 49 is less than 7y, so 7 is less than y, so that should be from negative infinity to 7, comma 7 hard bracket. The sense of inequality versus both sides are multiplied by it. If both sides are multiplied or divided by a negative. I didn't divide or multiplied by a negative. 24, 49 divided by 7. 7 is less than y. 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 7. Oh. If 7 is less than y, then it should go from hard bracket 7 to infinity. Parentheses, shift, close, enter. There we go. Here, get a common denominator, which should be 12. Once you have the common denominator, then it's just the numerators, and then we're done. 13. Here, get a common denominator, put this negative 5 over 1, and then your common denominator for all of them would be 10. Multiply them, get your solution, and so forth. 14. Solve and graph. So let's see here. This is going to be this inequality. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 9 to both sides, which gives this 10 and 40. Dividing by 5, I get 2 and 8. So that means that my answer will be hard bracket between 2 and 8, hard bracket 2 comma 8, hard bracket. Oh, I did not see the second one was not an equal to, so that's going to be a parentheses. Like I said, very, very specific. Check that answer. Beautiful. Then I need to graph this. So now this, a hard bracket at 2, is going to be either, say, we have a hard bracket at 2, parentheses at 8, boom, done. All right, solving for y. Here we would need to minus 3x. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fraction, because in my numerator I have 21 minus 3x. In my denominator, it would just be divided by negative 7. Next question. Okay, so now they want me to have y by itself. So the first thing that I'm going to have, I'm going to create a fraction, is I should be moving fx. So it's going to be h minus fx, capital H minus capital F lowercase x, all divided by g. There we go. Okay, now we got to solve for m. So first thing I would do is I would create a fraction. F minus 29, F minus 29, and then I'm going to divide it by 7 over 6, which is the same thing as multiplying it by 6 over 7. So I'm going to do like this, parentheses, put a 6 out front, and close that parentheses, and boom. So I don't need to distribute it. It does it for us. All right, solve and graph. The solution to this inequality would be minus 6, minus 6, minus 6, divided by 7, and it's going to be a lot of fractions. I'm going to go show completed because I'm going to get fractions with it. Oh, this one didn't give me fractions. Whatever. So we minus the 3, negative 21, 21, divide by negative 7, gives us negative 3 and positive 3. Inequalities change, so this one went from less than to greater than, and then that gave us answer D, this inequality. 19. Oh, I don't want to show completed. Okay, a jazz concert brought in $200,000 of sales on sale of 7,900 tickets. If tickets sold for $20 and $30 each, how much of each ticket was sold? So the way that we're going to set this up is you're going to have to set up an equation. How can I do this? All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to figure out how to do it with our more complicated stuff, but I'm just going to show you Desmos. Desmos is my favorite online calculator. So when you open up the graphing calculator, there are two situations we have here. We have tickets being sold for $20 and $30 each, so I'm going to say that x plus y is equal to 7,900. So when I sell these, I'm going to have that many tickets. Then if I know that I made 200,000, I would sell 20x plus 30y, and that should be equal to 200, 1, 2, 3. Now there are a few things that you can do. You could take these equations and plug them into each other. So for example, if I were to use elimination, I could multiply this by 20 and then subtract them. You could move the x over, take this 7900 minus x and plug it into this y. Totally works. The beauty of Desmos is that if I start zooming out and look at these two lines and identify the intersection of them, it's 3700 and 4200. So how many of x were sold? X would be 3700, so 3700, boom. I'm here to help you get questions right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want you to think of me as someone that is grading you. I want you to think of someone that is here to help you get every question right in this class. So I hit OK. And obviously, if I go back to Desmos, it will tell me that the 4,200 tickets were sold. 4,200. There we go. All right, question 20. You have $25,000 in an IRA at the time you retire. You have the option of investing the money in two funds. Fund A pays 1.8% annually and Fund B pays 6.8% annually. How much should you divide your money if you want to produce an income of $8,500? So the way that I'm going to do this one, I'm going to go back to Desmos. I'm going to clear these two equations, and I need the equation. So first of all, you have $25,000 that you are going to invest. Okay, you're going to break it apart. One's going to give you 1.8, one's going to give you 6.8. So if you remember, I is equal to PRT, right? Now, we want it to be annually. So the way that I'm going to work this out is I'm going to say that I want $8,500 to come from 1.8 is going to be 0.018 x plus, and here because t is 1 year, I'm going to leave t as 1, plus 0.068. Now, how much money do I have to invest? I have $25,000. If I invest X amount at 1.8%, then I would have $250,000 minus X left to invest at the other account. And now if I hit that, this is still one inequality. I do this to find the value. From here, I'm going to need to simplify this and kind of figure that out. So you would distribute this, multiply that all out, and then you can figure out how much you invest at your X account. Once you have that, you do $250,000 minus whatever you invested, and that gives you the Y account. So I'm now going to go to the view an example to further explain this. So they said X is the amount that you invest in Fund A, which means that it's going to be $500,000 minus X to get the other one. Here you want $35,000 of your interest. So here comes the equation. Boom, boom, boom. The interest from the first account is 0.056. The second account is 0.018 and is equal to that. So that's the equation that I came up with. Solve this equation, and then you'll be able to get that, whatever they say, it is, to get X alone, you get 210 tickets. From there, you subtract it from the other side, and then you get how much you're invested in each side. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Let me pull up Desmos one more time. Interest that you plan on making is equal to the interest rate times one account plus the interest rate with how much money you have to invest minus the amount you invested in the first account. 21. Retail prices in a department store obtained by marking up the wholesale price by 40%. That is, retail price obtained by adding 40% of the wholesale price to the wholesale price. What is the retail price of a suit if the wholesale price is $600? So I'm going to go to Desmos. And I need to figure out what 40% of 600 is. So 0.4 times 600 is equal to 240. So then this suit should cost $840. $840. What is the wholesale price of a pair of jeans? The price is $77. Same exact thing. I'm moving on. A bus fare in the city is $2. People can use the bus, have the option of purchasing monthly coupons for $30. With a coupon book, the fare is reduced to 50 cents. How many times must someone use the bus so that the total monthly cost without the coupon book is the same amount as the monthly cost with the coupon book? So, express the total monthly cost C to use the bus with a coupon book in terms of X and the number of times the bus is used. All right. So, what would the cost be? It would just be 2X. And then what about if we got the equation? It would be 30 plus 0.5x. So if you think about it, you have to buy the book for $30 and then it's reduced to 50 cents. Check. One or more expressions is incorrect. Use integers or decimals for any numbers in the expression. $2, $30 for a book. With the coupon book, the fare is reduced. With the bus, express the total monthly cost to use the bus with the coupon. Oh, this is the coupons. I'm sorry, I need to switch these. See, 30 plus 0.5x, and then if you don't have the coupon book, that would just be 2x. I gotta switch them. All right. And then you set these two equations equal, and then you would figure it out. So 1.5, I think it would be 20. There you go. Just solving for x. One employee of a computer store is paid a base salary of $4,000 plus a 4% commission on all sales over $6,000 during the month. How much must the employee sell in 1 month to earn a total of $5,000 for the month? So the way that I would do that is I'm going to write my equation in Desmos. So the person is trying to make a total of $5,000, which should be equal to $4,000 plus 0.04 of x. And if you look at that, the person must sell $25,000 worth of merchandise in order to get that much made. So write an equation to find the solution of x representing the dollars of the equation. So I said that would be 5,000 is equal to 4,000 plus 0.04x. Write an equation to use x represent the amount of sales in dollars by the employee. So let's see, we have a computer paid a base salary of 4,000 a month plus that 5,000, 0.04% on all, over 6,000. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do parentheses x minus 6,123. There we go. Sorry. So now when I go back to Desmos, it would just be x minus 6,123. Now it's 31,000. So how much must the employee sell? 31,123. Cool. Two more questions. A publisher for a promising new novel figures fixed cost, overhead, advances, promotions, copying, editing, typesetting, and so on at 51,000. And variable costs, printing, paper, binding, shipping at $1.90 each for each book. With this pricing, 3,378 books need to be produced and sold at $17 each for the publisher to break even. However, rising prices for paper require an increase in variable cost to $2.40 for each book. Use this information. Which strategies might the company use to deal with this increased cost? Choose all that are reasonable. Find different suppliers to try and lower the variable costs. You could decrease the fixed costs. Increasing the font size of the print of the book wouldn't do it, and increase the selling price of the book. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking those three, right? No, at least one of your answers is incorrect, or you've not selected all the correct answers. Determine how each of the options will affect the company. From there, look for options that will either increase revenue or decrease costs. I'm thinking if I increase the selling price of the book. Fine. Oh, I'm sorry. What strategies might the company use to deal with the increase in cost? Choose all that are reasonable. Decrease the fixed cost and increase the selling price. A and D. Find a different supplier to try and lower. I guess we don't have the option to decrease the fixed cost. Okay. If the company continues to sell books at $17, how many books must they sell in order to make a profit? Well, that would just be the equation, right? All right, let me just get this wrong so I can do it again, because I'm kind of annoyed with that first part. Let's view an example. All right, so we know that they're going to have to either increase the book or try to find a different supplier to lower the variable costs. So if the companies continue to sell books at $21, how many books must they sell to make a profit? So let X be the number of books that they have to sell. Identify other qualities. And let's see the equation. Fixed costs, $65,000 for this equation. New variable costs, $2.70. Prices should be per book, $21. So my equation for cost is 2.7x plus 65,000, and my revenue is 21x. Setting them equal to each other, then we solve the equation, and that would give us blah, 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 whatever it gives us in there. So now you know how much you'd have to sell for each one. For part C, if the company wants to start making a profit at the same production level cost to increase, but before the cost increase from 2.2 to how much should the publisher sell? So again, just figuring it out. So now, let's see, where's my equation? Fixed cost 65,000, new variable cost is 270 times these kind of books. Boom. Fixed cost plus variable cost is 74,000 because we added these two. Then your revenue is that many books times that price, setting them equal to each other, dividing both sides by the equation, and we get that you have to have $21.50 in order to break even. Yeah. And that would be this problem. And last but not least, number 25. So determine the number of deer in a game preserve. A forecast ranger catches 340 deers, tags them, and releases them. Later, 186 deer are caught, and it's found that 34 of them are tagged. Assume that the proportion of tagged deer in the second sample was the same as the proportion of tagged deer in the total population. Estimate the number of population in the preserve. So here we're going to have to set up a proportion where it would be 340 out of X is equal to 186, 34 over 186. So let me go to view an example, just because it's going to be easy to see. So here it's 660, 130 are caught, and 55 of them have it. So let's set up our proportion. X over 660 equals 130 over 55. So the tagged there. Cross multiplying, solving for that, and you figure out there should be 1,560 in the there, estimated total. And that is homework 1.1. If there are any questions, feel free to email me at professorcheco@gmail.com.